give you Carolina Corada.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's such a joy to be in Ireland. It's home to me. I look around and there's so many faces that I know and so many others that I can see the hearts even though I don't know the faces. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for inviting me, Michael. And he has just done the perfect presentation for what has been cooking inside me for today. Sharon was asking me, what are you talking about? And I'm saying, well, I'm not quite sure. It's kind of downloading inside of me. I know it's about oneness and celebrating oneness. And such an abstract word, oneness. Especially when we look at a room that's full of lovely faces, and you love this one, and you love this one, and this one I love more, and this one I don't love that much because I don't know this face. You know, and then we all want to dive into oneness and feel as if we know what that means and how to get there. And somehow, this is the place where I feel myself in right now. Honest oneness, humble, nude oneness. How do I get there? How do I experience what is meant for my experience? And then again, when I say my experience, it has all to do with Carolina, because I can't experience oneness in you. It always has to be here. So I have a little animal story to tell you. That's why, the mind is the mind, and you kind of get the right introduction. And I have a question for you, and then we can take it on from there. Think of a dolphin. Feel a dolphin. Dolphin swimming in the ocean, so happy. It's a mammal, yes. It has friends and foes. Maybe shark might be a foe, might want to eat it. But you observe it, and you watch it, and you can see goodness, and you can see God there. And then just get that feeling. And then observe in your mind a squirrel. So happy in the forest, running up and down the tree and accumulating all the nuts, and in the shadow of the forest with the hair and everything. And there's such beauty in that aspect of creation. We are told in one of the lessons, I am one with every aspect of creation. So the squirrel is an aspect, so is the dolphin. Now I want to ask you something, and this is the question that popped up for me in my own journey just very recently. What does the dolphin say to the squirrel? Where do they meet? When do they go to lunch together? When do they talk about God? When does that happen? Does that happen? I'm thinking, oh wow, but oneness. Right, yeah. But we've been saying Steve and Shamus. And all the teachers that have been speaking this morning, right, we want the experience, we want to be honest. I want the experience. I don't want to go through reading the course. I've read the course back and forth in English and Spanish, and now oneness, and I want to celebrate that. So where do I find oneness? In two forms that in this dream seem so apparently different. I don't even try. I mean, do you think the squirrel thinks about the dolphin? Or about the ocean? But it's there. It's the perfect aspect of creation. It's there. It's oneness is there too. What about the dolphin? Does the dolphin think about the squirrel? Does the dolphin dream of the forest? Does the dolphin go into therapy to try to integrate the habits of the squirrel into his life? And I thought, okay, I'm getting somewhere with these ideas. I felt them coming right from spirit, because there has been a time where I felt like the dolphin, and then I was trying to pray my way into oneness by forgiving my idea of the squirrel. Maybe even praying that the squirrel might turn into a dolphin when I finish my forgiveness lessons. So I think you can feel where I'm getting at, yes? You're getting, I'm sure you have squirrels in your lives if you're a dolphin, and you have dolphins in your life if you're a squirrel. How many times have I tried to release and relinquish the guilt that I felt? Because between you and me, it just wasn't flowing. And I couldn't figure out why. I'm such a mystic. I have relinquished the world. I've gone through all my labels in the world. I've been a mother, a daughter, a spouse, a teacher, and I've relinquished all of them into the Spirit. I'm willing just to be of service. I'm willing just to love. I feel guilty because, I'm still not flowing with you. Why? And then I had the image. And there was a voice that came with that image. It wasn't, this image is like the last image I got. There's a whole other longer story with little animals that I had before, but that's longer, so I won't tell that one. That one, I'll write it up in a book, and then you can read it there. But the dolphin and the squirrel. And the thought that came to me, the word that I heard was, they're different species. In this dream, they're different species, and they are the gateway to oneness. If we just stop for a moment and honor that aspect of creation in this dream without trying to change it or make it better, without feeling guilty because I don't see a dolphin in you. Maybe I should be seeing a dolphin in you, but what if I just honor what I see in you with every characteristic? Different species, I thought, wow. Is there oneness in different species? And then I thought, this was all in prayer and meditation, and I thought, it's so clear in the animal realm, the animal kingdom. You don't see a monkey trying to mate with a cat. Or you don't see a pigeon feeling guilty because it can't, sit by the cow and eat what it eats, They don't go to parties together. There's no guilt in that realm. What happened to the human realm? How are we different to the animal realm? Of course, none of it is true. We know it's all a dream, but this is where we start our journey. What will happen if I allow myself, as gently, as lovingly as I can, allow the Holy Spirit, give Him my permission. I give you permission, Holy Spirit, to show me what you see. Because I don't want to be perfecting the perfect. How is a squirrel not perfect? How's a dolphin not perfect? How's a goldfish not perfect? Dolphin and goldfish, they're closer. They swim together, yes? But does the dolphin eat the goldfish? Who eats who? Who does what? And then you have cows. If you've been, in Latin America at least, you have the cows. And then the cows have these little birds on top of them, living on top of them, eating out, the little insects and stuff. And they live together. They're perfect for each other, but one is on top of the other one, and one is eating out the insects, and the other one's eating out the grass. So, can I do that? I've been praying a lot on that one. I mean, really a lot, because when we started putting together the festival with Steve back in Ibiza in 2012, when we started with this idea, the calling of my heart, and basically because, well, as you know, every time you teach, it is for you to learn. You're the first receiver of the message. So, being Latin American, speaking English, but not being from a speaking English country, being a girl, teaching the course with music and movement, I felt discarded many times. So I took responsibility for that, and I said, why do I feel discarded? I said, I have to believe in discarding as a possibility, exclusion as a possibility. I prayed on that, and what came was the inclusion of all teachers, a party of Course in Miracles students and teachers, where we would honor each other, where we could honor the species. And I tell you, I've seen some really interesting species in 4 years of festivals. You know, the different species, and the dolphins teach the dolphins. The squirrel doesn't hear that teaching, doesn't understand it, but it can look at it and say, oh, I can honor that. I don't have to judge it. I can be okay with it. And in my own transformation with this experience, what has happened to me is my mind has opened, and I can see the oneness. There was a threshold, and it was accepting all aspects of creation, everyone, and also accepting that sometimes I don't understand how other species dwell. I don't, and that's okay too. My only function here is to do God's will, and God's will is my perfect happiness, my perfect peace of mind, my perfect joy. So I had to be honest, and I realized that for some time, as seeing myself as a dolphin, I was praying for the goldfish or the shark to become a dolphin. That was my ultimate goal. Prayer, 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 prayer. I release, I give to you, Holy Spirit, all my judgments, all the differences I see in my mind. But I had to look very deeply to discover that I wanted to see a dolphin over there. Holy Spirit showed me that, hello, there's just different species. It's not so obvious in the human realm, but I'm pretty sure that as I speak to you, it's becoming very obvious to you. The different species, the differences that we seem to think that we need to correct, or the other, or myself. And for me, the relinquishment, and this is a big word for me, Spanish speaker, I just learned it. I thought it was surrender, and then I was reading through, I don't even read the English book as much as I read the Spanish. I was teaching in Spanish, and we had this word in Spanish, renuncia. I said, how do you say that in English? Exactly, so I looked it up in the book, and it was relinquishment. Yeah, I relinquish everything I know about my brothers, about the way I pray, about the way I surrender to God's will. I want to see what the Holy Spirit sees. I want to open to a constant flow of love and acceptance. This is the calling of my heart. Does this mean that the squirrel needs to learn how to swim? No. No, the squirrel doesn't need to learn how to swim. Does this mean the dolphin has to develop legs and walk on the face of earth? No. It does mean total honesty, the relinquishment of judgment, the acceptance of perfection. We are not called to perfect the perfect. We are called to open our mind to see the perfect. And then oneness is a possibility. And it's like right there. It is a possibility. Because for me, I feel I am devoted. I've been devoted to Jesus way before I learned of the Course. And Jesus is my first word in the morning and my last one at night. And I feel myself guided throughout the day. But I feel this very clear guidance because there is such an observation of how I feel, how my mind moves, what judgments rise, if any, what disturbances in my heart happen, if any. And I noticed that it was very easy to relinquish the judgment against others. But the judgment against myself was very hidden. The acceptance of myself was like impossible. It was like I was constantly praying to improve myself, to perfect the perfect. Because in my mind, as a course teacher, as a student, as a devoted parent and everything, there was just so much to correct in me. So, isn't it the same what I offer you? Don't I have to offer myself? If I offer forgiveness, don't I have to offer it to myself? If I accept who you are, don't I have to accept who I am? If I am willing to see you perfect, shouldn't I be willing to see myself perfect? Wow, that's a big one. I don't know if it is for you, but it has been for me. Accepting my greatness is the threshold to oneness. How can I be aware and conscious of what oneness is if I don't take the first step into accepting my own greatness? And as I do that, I can accept yours. Even if you walk the earth shoeless and stinky, or, if you live in a forest or in the ocean, or in a different country and your skin color is different. I have this calling for a long time because I come from a multicultural upbringing. And I moved a lot when I was a little girl. My father kept moving from countries. Every 2 years we lived in a different country. And it was 2 years I had to adapt to a new country, sometimes to a different language. And I thought now, with the course and all, and the teachers and all, and I thought, we got to be the first ones to be willing, quote unquote, and there's many here who have visited and accompanied us in these festivals. And wow, why is it such a transformational experience? Because the moment we enter, and we are entering that realm right now, we are willing to see the perfection. We are willing to see what God sees. Are you willing to see what God sees? Are you willing to be granted the Christ vision? The vision of Christ is the vision of the absolute oneness. It has nothing to do with our form. We don't need to agree on it. How can we agree on perfection if there is no other choice? There's just perfection. Are we going to agree on it or not? It makes no difference, really. It's only our own acceptance of the gifts that we have been given and know that everyone has been given that gift. 5 minutes, Mary? Or 1? Let me see. 5? 1? Whatever. I'm asking you. Oh, I thought you were going to show me something.
No.
Ah, okay. So,
Sorry.
I want my experience of oneness. I get glimpses of it. But the glimpses of it happen only when I'm willing to accept perfection and know that I cannot perfect the perfect. When I am willing not to judge myself for being a dolphin and not being able to walk in a forest. I know I'm using all these symbols, but me, like Michael, he talked about the imagery, or I don't know, what did you say?
Symbols.
Yeah, well, it works for me too. I have these images and it's very clear for me. It takes time for me because maybe I dwell a lot in the abstract mind. I'm very easy with the abstraction, but then to get it like on the floor, it takes a while. The image helps me. It's a clear teaching for me. So, do you have a squirrel in your life? Or are you the dolphin? I don't know how much time I have, because when I start talking, it's blah, 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 blah. How much time do I have? Anybody? Pardon?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay.
10 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, so I am going to tell you a story. I'll make it short. It also has to do with animals. For some reason I have these images, and it was a teaching to me about how to find the threshold into oneness. And there was a desert. This image came to me maybe around November last year. There was a desert, and then there was an oasis. And then there was a fountain, very clear water. And there was a fox, beautiful fox, with platinum hair and blue eyes, and he was drinking of the fountain. And he raised his head and looked to the left, and there was a huge animal he had never seen, because he lived in the mountains and he was lost. But this was a huge animal. The skin color was brown, and it was like really soft looking and beautiful, and it looked so strong and huge. And the fox looked at it and was completely overtaken by the beauty of this animal that he had never seen, and he totally fell in love with it. He didn't know what it was, but he was like, oh my gosh. And the camel, who was standing right beside the fox, looked at the fox, and he had never seen a fox. It was such a weird species for him. He looked at it, and it shone under the rays of the sun. He didn't even know these colors, and this hair he had never seen, and just the shape of it, and the beauty with which it drank the water, and the camel fell in love with it. Just there, drinking. And the fox said to the camel, I love you. I don't know who you are or what you are, but you are so beautiful. Please come with me to my world. Come with me to my forest. I have a beautiful cave. We can live there together. And the camel, who felt this love there by the fountain, said, okay, I'll come with you. And, the fox was trotting to the forest, and the camel was. Like a camel. And the fox was hunting and giving, the prey to the camel, and the camel, yuck. Camel's vegetarian, doesn't eat prey. And the fox didn't quite understand, but kept giving him the best he had, all his love. And the camel was kind of starving by the time they got to the forest. And the fox showed him the cave. And the camel said, a cave? The cave was like so high, and this was the camel. And the camel saying, I don't fit in there. And the fox says, how can you say that? It's my treasure. I'm giving you the best a fox can give. Please. And the camel, okay. So he tried, but he just couldn't fit. And he was hungry, and he was cold, and he said, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. I think I'll just go back to the desert. And the fox, okay. So he parted. And the fox stood there by his cave. There was just so much love. He says, there has to be a way. So he decided to go back to the oasis after the camel. when he finally met up with the camel was drinking at the fountain. And there was just love. They were both drinking the water from the same fountain. And the camel said, you know, I just feel love for you. Why don't you come with me to where I live? You're gonna love it. It's beautiful, the stars are out, you feel free, and it's just wonderful. And the fox said, okay, I'll try it in your world. So the camel went into the desert and was picking up the flowers of the cactus and giving them to the fox. You know, the flower in the cactus is a treasure for the camel. But the fox eats prey, and there was nowhere to hunt, so he was getting hungry. The camel carries the water here, but the fox was thirsty, and he was hot, and he was hairy, and he was like, oh my gosh, until he finally said, you know, I can't do this. Where are you taking me? It's beautiful. And he said, I don't appreciate this. I'm sorry, I can't live where you live. So he left. I'm going back to my mountain. And the camel was left in the desert. And the camel thought, wow, there has to be a way. Because this nostalgia, this I want to be with a fox. He didn't know it was a fox. It was just a different species. They didn't know that. And then they came. The camel, again, moved to go after the fox and met up with him at the fountain. And they were drinking at the fountain. And then all this love, and it was perfect. Them two, at the fountain, in God, at source, where nothing was expected. They had nothing to do. Nobody was shoving each other's preference at each other. They just met there. There were different species who were together in the perfect love, in the oneness, only at the fountain, only at the source. So I tell you, this story was given to me right after a very conflicted relationship that I was trying to heal in my mind, and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. I think the Holy Spirit said, okay, I'll give you a children's story here. And this whole story came into my mind. And I was like, oh yeah, I get it. I get it. Only at the source are we truly in oneness. Do not seek for oneness in the form. Do not seek to correct perfection. Perfection is perfect. And there is dolphins that teach dolphins, and foxes who teach foxes, and camels who teach camels. And each one of us, this is my own perception, each one of us is doing the best we can with the treasures that we've got. This is why so many times we see a teacher and we like the other one better. And we might feel a little guilty, oh, I'm being judgmental. Are you? Or are you simply a fox who is much happier listening to a fox than sitting in front of a camel, which you don't understand? So my gift that I have received today, I am extending it to you. Allow yourself to be okay with the species, because at the end we will all meet at the fountain, and we will be drinking from it all together. Thank you.